Today I'm going to talk about Detour. This crime thriller stars Ty Sheridan as Harper, a teenage law student who is angry and blaming his stepfather, Vincent Stephen Moyer, for a car crash that has put his mother in a coma, likely to die. In law class, a lecturer talks about the importance of planning and preparation, describing cases where it's helped people. This theme becomes relevant to the overall story, so it's worth paying attention to. Harper has a fearless side to his personality, and this manifests when he gets talking with a hoodlum in a bar. He effectively invites Johnny Ray, Emery Cohen, to his doorstep as he contemplates teaching Vincent a lesson or getting him killed for $20,000. When he overhears Johnny Ray at a nearby table, he brazenly introduces himself. Harper's cocksure attitude piques Johnny Ray's attention, so they end up having a one-to-one. Decisions. One thing that Johnny Ray asks Harper is if he could cut himself in two, let one half do something whilst the other half didn't, maybe he could get away with it. It seems like it's the main vehicle of the story. Last week I was discussing Everything Everywhere All at Once with a colleague, and as I was explaining it, my colleague asked if it was like sliding doors, and I said yes, except it is much more complicated. The split screen, I think, a really wonderful device. You can convey so much when you see different aspects of a film. It's a good way of showing how you can juggle the possibilities, and it can help keep suspense in a story because you're not quite sure which of the sides of the screen is the reality and which is the supposition. And because there's a lot of thought, because Harper is thinking and planning, it feels like there could be a lot more going on. The thing is, he also has quite a temper, and so there's a point where his anger spills over in a confrontation with his stepfather, and that is where things may jump ahead. Another character in the film is Belle Powley, who I'm familiar with for her stellar award-winning performance in Diary of a Teenage Girl. In this film, she stars as Cherry, who is more of a mole, I guess. Since I'm not so keen on scenes from bars where women are invariably scantily clad, either pole dancing, lap dancing, being showered in money, there's so many films like that year after year. In the heteronormative world, it's almost invariable that the men are fully clothed, so it's clear who has the money and the control. I do prefer films where all the hackneyed stereotypes are challenged. I'm reminded that it might be a good idea to discuss the Bechdel test and how I look forward to seeing films usually made by women, directed by women, with female characters whose relationship to other female characters is not dependent on a man or a relationship with a man. So named female characters. But anyway, this film doesn't meet that Bechdel test as far as I can tell, as it is very male-dominated. The strongest characters, the characters that drive the story, are men. The more three-dimensional all the characters are, the better. Sadly, there's still a long way to go, and lots of stories reflect the unequal power relationships that exist in the world as it is at present. Of course, in the criminal underworld, in gangland scenarios, this tends to be accentuated, and women often treated subserviently, often in a much worse way. The narrative perspective does revolve around the power struggle between men, in particular, in this case, Harper and Johnny Ray, when they fight over Cherry in some circumstances. Cherry observes Harper's diffident side and suggests that he isn't the killing type. It might be an obstacle to his plans if that's true, but is it? His brooding anger might just spill over. And so there's all that difficult aftermath to sort out. Disposing of a body would not be easy for a novice. So there are these layers, and it does get messy and a little complicated. There's very minimal gore, and actually those few brief moments, it seemed like a pink haze. So I found it quite interesting when Johnny Ray becomes subservient to his boss Frank, an older, more ruthless character. The film is a little stylized, and it does have a fair amount of panache in the way it's executed. I'll score it 7 out of 10, as it was well put together. It kept my attention, and I thought about it a lot afterwards. Thanks for watching.